Hey, good day everyone. It is now December and wanted to do a quick video on building your budget and your plan for 2022. So all of last week, just spent some time with all of our clients going through some 2022 planning. Realized there's a lot around budgeting and kind of building out your forecast for next year that can make things seem a little bit more complicated and complex than it needs to be. Having a solid plan, understanding where you need to go is a vital importance for success next year. So with that, I've got about 5 tips that I wanted to share with you when you're sitting down, starting to build out your 2022 budget forecast kind of plan for next year. The first one, before you get started, sitting down and actually reviewing the previous year. What can you reasonably expect? What can we reasonably expect this next year? What expenses did we not account for in this last year that will likely come up again next year? Where did we see some increases in revenue that just totally spiked and went, we can start looking at what is the historical data in terms of how things actually are starting to come into our business. What can we reasonably expect this next year based on the historical data from this year? So that's kind of point number 1. Look at your previous year. Point number 2, sit down and start to review your target or standard for this next year. What do you actually want to achieve? What revenue number, what profit number, what sales numbers, what do you actually want to achieve in 2022? Then we can start breaking that down into quarterly benchmarks and standards to hit. We start breaking that down even further then into monthly benchmarks and achievements along the way to get you to your ultimate goal. Point number 3 here, outline your products and services. Instead of just having one straight number for income or sales this next year, outline your products, your services, maybe it's your product lines that you actually are going to have and utilize this next year. Start setting standards for those. Where do you start to see the biggest movement in your sales and what are your targets around each of those? When we start understanding what our numbers and our standards are for each of those, now we can start to build back into our marketing for each of those particular areas. So that's point number 3, outline your products and services. Point number 4, start looking at your hiring and recruitment plan. Where are you going to need to put in some capital expenditure in order to bring in new team members? You start seeing that growth, that scaling of your business as you see more revenue coming in next year than you did this year. Based on those numbers, what needs to be in your hiring plan? Who do you need to bring on board? Maybe it's more salespeople. Maybe it's I've got so much business, I need a few more admin or customer service people. What does that look like as you expect to scale your business? When you go through this process, now we can start to look at where does that investment fall into our planning next year. Maybe we need to invest in somebody in March, but we're not going to really start seeing results of additional sales and revenue until April. What does that look like when we actually start plugging that data in? And that brings us to point number 5, which is review where the cash shortfalls may be. Now that we've got kind of our expenses and our revenue started to be projected out on a month-to-month basis, where might we start seeing some cash shortages based on how the investment's flowing out that's going to ultimately drive our business forward moving into the latter part of the year. And now we can start making decisions on what do we need to have in place? Do we need to have a line of credit, types of credit cards, or do we need to start adjusting our plan to account for those cash shortages or lower amounts of cash in the bank, even though our profitability and everything overall is going up for the year? So those are really the 5 big things when it comes to building your budget and your forecast for this next year. The bonus thing I will mention here is start understanding when you're going to review this every single time frame. So whether that's weekly, monthly, quarterly, I suggest at least monthly to sit down and actually review where are my actual numbers in comparison to what I budgeted for. This is very important. Then we get to start asking what are the questions that we will ask every single time we do our review, such as what worked well, what didn't work well, where did we hit, why did we achieve those standards for this month, why didn't we achieve them next month, and ultimately what needs to change in our plan to help us achieve the goal for our quarter for the year as we move forward. So if we miss our revenue targets, our revenue standards in January and February, what needs to shift and change in March, April, and May to put us back on track for the year-end goals? So we start outlining when you're going to do each of those reviews and start outlining what questions you will ask along the way. Planning for next year does not have to be overly complicated. Start utilizing some of these tips and tools to get through that. The point is start to build that plan now. As you go through, get better as a business owner, you'll be able to get more specific and get better at this process moving forward. For those of you that were not at our planning this last week or did not go through my finance courses, if you're watching this video here today and you've made it all the way to the end, type in the bottom budget, just the one word budget in comments or direct message me the word budget, and I will send over our template or my template on how to go through and start building that budget for next year. Start building that plan, put budget in the comment or direct message me the word budget, and I will send you the direct link to actually access that for you and your business. Look forward to seeing some amazing results in 2022. Make it a great rest of your week. Bye for now.